her honeymoon phase, so that's, let's see how she acts next year. So it's, no. But here's Heather. She's going to tell you a little bit about the history of the haunts here.
All right, are you guys ready for tonight? I know you are. All right, so I'm the program director here, so I do a lot of the educational programming, the arts programming. So we're here all hours of the day and night, and I would like to say on behalf of myself, Mr. Nixon, who's our executive director, he's in the back there. He's going to go on a few locations with you. And the city of Birmingham, we welcome you. Oh, are you waving at me? Okay. Okay. So we welcome you here tonight. Now, this is a place that nobody else has. This is the only 20th century blast furnace plant that's being preserved and interpreted as a museum of industry. So you cannot find a place like this anywhere else. Places like this have been torn down, dismantled, behind no trespassing signs, but Sloss is fully accessible to you. So during the day, you can come here, you can tour the site, you can come to, back in our foundry, we have a metal arts department, so we are still casting iron, not from the original furnaces, but we do have a whole metal arts program, so we have a couple of our little iron pieces up here if you want to take home a piece of Sloss with you. And these awesome t-shirts, right? Y'all look awesome on these t-shirts, so make sure you stop by and get the t-shirts and all that. So, Sloss being what it is, it was a very, very, very dangerous place. Now, these two furnaces, this is the number one, the number two is on the other side. They produce around 800 tons of iron every day. That's 1.6 million pounds. Now, the only time they would shut these furnaces down is to reline the bricking that is on the inside of these. So that bricking protects a very sophisticated water piping system, so you wanted those bricks in good condition. So about every 4 or 5 years, they would shut these down. And if you had seen the shows in the past where Dr. Mealy is on the original show, I think it was, that we first aired, or they first aired, but he was talking about having to lower people down into the furnaces to knock away the clingers that would be on the side of those bricks, because you want your bricks in good condition. So behind those clingers, which was basically processed coal called coke, it combines and again, this is a place that made iron. It was a place where men worked. So it's very interesting that you hear, maybe we've heard people hear women's voices and children's voices before, but you realize across the street there was the company housing. So women would come over here to bring their husbands their lunch. I'm sure the children would come over when they knew the shift was changing. They would walk back with their dad. There were a series of steam whistles. So these whistles would tell you whether it was a ladle car change or a shift change or an accident. So when they heard that certain whistle blow, the women of the quarters would get the kids together, kind of start this vigil that would happen because they didn't know who it was or what had happened, but there was a terrible accident. So sometimes they would, come over across the street, start their vigil. And so that could certainly be why we hear different people and, from children to women to youth. So it was a place where men worked, and they worked extremely hard. It was a time before OSHA, before all those safety standards. So, labor wasn't, it was easily replaceable. So you always had a group of men outside the gates waiting for a job. So regardless if you got that job, by someone who was moving away or was seriously injured, all that person knew was he had a job. So it was terribly dangerous in this area here. Of course, this is where the iron flows in the battle. Perfect timing, right, as the scene comes up. So this area here was used when the iron would flow from the furnace. They would have this mold pattern in the sand here, and so that iron would go out into this mold that they would carve out in these sand. They carve these ditches so the iron would flow out, and right after it's poured, while it's still steaming, smoky, red hot, you had to walk out onto this mold with wooden elevated shoes and bust those ingots from the molds. So if you tripped, there wasn't much anybody could do for you. We've actually had reports of the casting shed, actually the roof of the casting shed falling on some workers during a run, a pig run. And they called it pig iron because of the pattern that it was in. It kind of looked like baby piglets suckling at the mother's cell. So these guys come from farms and everything. So it looked like pigs to them, so that's why they call it pig iron. And they would have pig runs and have the automatic pig casting system, so that's where that comes from. But it was in the middle of a pig run, and the roof collapses in because it's so hot. Luckily, it's cooled off today, right? But anyway, so the roof would cave in during that pig run. So several people, unfortunately, lost their lives that way. So if you were involved in an accident, it was terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So I could imagine why this place, is still, home to some of these people because they lived here, they worked here, and lost their lives here. So, in normally a really, really dangerous situation. Speaking of danger, so when you guys walk through here, please, please, please utilize your flashlights because this is still a place where men worked. So we haven't done a whole lot to change anything, but to make it truly a sense where you could come and see where these men work. So it was very important that things be kept in their original state as it was left. So there are things that you can possibly hit your head on, that you can trip over. So please, 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 for my sake, please be very, very careful as you walk down some of the steps and things like that. And normally, if you're walking through a doorway, there's maybe a step down or a step up.
As well, we have one. Everybody got a yellow sheet of paper that when you checked in, it told about some of the events coming up. One that we go to a lot, Adam and Amy actually filmed there. It's called the Thomas House, and it's in Red Boiling Springs, Tennessee. That place is crazy. For $199, you get a room in this hotel, 1800s bed and breakfast. You get to stay the night there. You get full dinner. You get full breakfast. We do a midnight snack buffet. I do a presentation. It's a history and haunts presentation. I show you all kinds of evidence and pictures, and then I teach you how you can capture evidence yourself that night. The crew's there with us. We ghost hunt all night. We're the only ones at the hotel, so we stay up until the sun comes up or whenever you want to go to bed. And it's awesome. You heard from some of the people in town, and it's right outside of Nashville. And we go there once to 2 times a month. Look on the website. What's coming up next? We are at the end of, let's see, we're going to the Thomas House on the 15th and 16th this month. We'll leave there, and we're going to go to a place right outside of Indianapolis. It's a little restaurant called Panzerotti's. And it's an Italian restaurant. It was an 1800s home, and what it was, it's a restaurant now. It was a hospital for a while. It was a morgue for a little while. Site of some murders, from what I understand. It's part of our psychic road tour, and we have a psychic that goes with us. Her name is Jaden. She's actually here tonight. Where is Jaden? She's way back there somewhere doing a reading or something. Anyway, so she's going to be with us, and we do these psychic dinners and ghost hunts. And we do locations all over the U.S. We just got back from Moon River Brewery in Savannah, Georgia. We're going to go back there in February. You guys saw the Titanic thing that was listed on there. That, nobody else knows.